Hey, Greg.
Hey, Tim.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. You?
Yeah, can't complain.
You're looking awfully well rested.
Yeah. I think I mentioned in our previous episode that I was going to be getting out of town down to Mexico, and it's lovely down there. It's really warm.
I can't believe you came back.
I know.
Yeah.
Lee and I were kind of pondering how could we just stay here, just never go back. And yeah, I think our kids would have been quite sad, but yeah.
They would have got over it.
Our parents abandoned us, and they live in Mexico now. Yeah.
Sounds like a Netflix movie or something.
Seriously. I'm thinking of Joe Dirt for some reason when leaving the trash can at the Grand Canyon. Good stuff.
So what's going on?
Well, I think it's worth mentioning that our website actually has an option for people to become supporters of our podcast. So one of our supporters, we offered the option to come up with some ideas for a possible episode. And so that's my sister. Shout out to Ashley and Soul Surfer Screen Printing.
Woohoo!
And so she and my brother were discussing some possible topics for us.
Sure.
And they came up with one that we thought was pretty good, and we're gonna take it and add a little twist to it today.
That's it. Yeah.
But before we get into that, if anyone else is interested in supporting the show, go to latchkeydads.com and click on that support button, and you'll be able to throw a little cup of coffee our direction so we can keep the podcast going. So, and thank you to our supporters.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And if you can't support, if you could give us a review on any of those platforms that you do download Latch Key Dads, it'd be nice too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only positive reviews, though. If you don't like the show, don't do it.
That's right. So Greg came up with a little twist on this whole idea. So I'll just give you a little taste, which is we're going to be talking about some of the great cars/vehicles of the 80s from movies and TV. And Greg, you had a nice twist on that, right?
Yeah, I just thought that, it is March. And what happens in March, the NCAA bracket tournament, everybody gets a little bit crazy. So why not come up with a March car madness tournament style?
It's fantastic. I'm excited to see, who's paired up against who in this bracket.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's going to be really difficult to pick a winner. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, I did try to rank them according to my popularity in them. But, overall, honestly, what would make sense. And then if we have tiebreakers, we might have a special guest later on.
Yeah.
Because we're going to have to duke it out over who wins, Tim.
That's true. And I think some of the statistics related to the power of the vehicle or its speed seems like it could play into it, but I feel like a lot of this is just going to be going with your heart and which one you love more.
The coolness factor.
Yeah.
Well, that was the one question. Like we set it up, we got it all, and I figured I'd wait till we're on live before we discuss what we're doing.
Right.
And the overall winner, is it by coolness factor, or would you like to own it factor? Now as a dad, what do you think the purposes of the bracket? How we picking?
Well, I think you bring up some good points, because some of these, like, I would like to own without a doubt, and other ones I think there is just more of that feeling of what it meant to you as a kid watching the show. So I don't believe that the Love Boat made it into our list, but owning the Love Boat, why not? Take you and 300 of your favorite friends
why not?
Out on a little,
maybe Michael J. Fox as a guest star.
There you go. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll just kind of play out how it plays out from that standpoint, unless you have some strong feelings.
I think we just see how it goes. Yeah. I do think that we have to have one little caveat, and that for any of the science fiction or etc. type of vehicles, that you would get the vehicle in our reality.
Okay.
Right, because otherwise we all know what car is going to win, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to time travel?
Exactly.
Right. So that's just throw the science fiction factor out. Just base the car on cool, like you said, coolness, nostalgia,
right,
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't mind having a DeLorean all tricked out to go to a car show and pick up the kids from practice in a DeLorean. Why not?
Most definitely.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. And we'll also throw out the resale value. You're not going to pick a car because you can turn around and sell it for $150,000. Sure. You throw that out there, out the window as well.
I like these rules.
All right, cool. As you can tell, I spent entirely too much time thinking about this.
Well, we appreciate it, definitely. Well, I do. I don't know if the audience does, but I definitely do.
Cool.
All right, so Greg had mentioned that we're going to bring in a special guest. So we have our car expert, a.k.a. my brother, the man, Scott. Scott, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, no problem, guys. Anything I can do to help out.
Thanks for joining.
So we're going to start out with our bracket. We're going to go through, I think we should just go through it first and let everybody know what the Eastern and Western conferences have brought to the table. What do you think, Greg?
That sounds good. All right, so our Western Conference are television vehicles. So we're not just limiting this to cars. We got a few surprises mixed in here. So I'll do the first matchup and we'll alternate between what the matchups are. So in the Western Conference, our television conference, our first ranked, I guess you would say, top ranked car is KITT from the wonderful TV show Knight Rider. And they go up against the 8th seed, the Bell 222 stealth helicopter from Airwolf.
All right, sounds good. Next up, we've got our 4th and 5th seeds, the 1983 GMC Vandura, the A-Team van.
So cool.
That's a high mark for me. And that's going to be going up against the Kawasaki KZP motorcycle. Those were the Chips police motorcycles
love that.
right there.
We might have a problem right off the bat. Our 3 and 6 matchup coming in at number 3 is the 1984 Ferrari 308 GTS, made famous by Magnum PI and his mustache. Our 6th seed is the GMC 2500 Sierra Grand Wideside, which we love because it was in that TV show, The Fall Guy.
Yeah.
Cue the music.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to beat my lunchbox in that case. So. And then our final matchup on the Western Conference TV vehicles, we've got the number 2 seed, the General Lee 1969 Dodge Charger. Again, that one's going to be hard to beat. And that's going up against the number 7 seed, the Ferrari Testarossa from Miami Vice.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, Scott, any initial thoughts after that lineup for the Western TV conference?
I think right out of the gate, the Chips motorcycle, those Kawasaki's are fast as shit, but they're ugly as shit, so I'm sorry.
Well, there it is. Some early thoughts.
Fantastic.
I love it. And then on the Eastern Conference, we're going to have our movie vehicles. Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, sure. Our number 1, I mean, can we all know what it's going to be, right? It's going to be the DeLorean DMC-12 from Back to the Future against the 8th seed, the 1990 Lamborghini, I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Countach. Yeah, 1980 Countach, yes.
LP 400S, made famous by that really fun movie, Cannonball Run.
That's right. And then coming in again at the 4th and 5th seed, we're going to have the Ferrari 250 GT California, which was our Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Cameron's dad's. Yeah, that car.
Fun car.
It was a fun car. Had an unfortunate demise in the film, but great car. That's going to go up against a surprise. I didn't know they were going to make it into the Sweet 16. The Ecto 1 1959 Cadillac Miller Meteor from Ghostbusters. That's a long shot in my book, but we'll see how it plays out there.
Who doesn't want a hearse? Our 3 seed is the 1979 Porsche 928, of course, in risky business. We all know what happened to that car, right? Up against the 6 seed, I think this might be a sleeper. I don't know. We'll see. The Ford LTD Country Squire from National Lampoon's Vacation. We all love that green paneled green car, woody panel thing, whatever it was.
The family truckster.
Yep.
Dark horse with the family truckster. And then rounding out our 8 from the East will be the Batmobile, the number 2 seed. That's many iterations of the Batmobile.
This would be the 1989 Michael Keaton version.
Okay. All right. Excellent. And that will be going up against the 1958 Plymouth Fury, a.k.a. Christine, from that classic Stephen King.
Non-haunted version.
That's right. All right, Scott, any thoughts on the Eastern Conference there?
I think you should have put the Fury up against the Ghostbusters Cadillac. Just fight it out.
That's true. Pull the spirit out of the Fury, and it'll be done. Have nothing to bring to the table. All right. So as we go through these matchups, I think, Greg, you've got some additional little fun facts about some of these cars, if I'm not mistaken.
They're not necessarily fun, but there's some. I have a few fun stats, but they're more about the engine. Like, if we're talking about this car and how great it is, top speed, that kind of stuff. I don't want to bore the audience too much with it, but I do have some stats if you're curious, because that might make or break your decision.
All right. And just to let everybody know, what we're going to do is we're going to, the three of us, we're all going to vote for our pick in each of these matchups, and hopefully we'll end up with two out of three or 3 out of 3 and have a definitive winner. So we'll see how it goes here.
All right, should we kick off the the bracket madness?
Let's do it.
March Madness. All right. So our first, we'll go one round each side, obviously. So we'll start with the Western Conference and TV, where our number 1 seed KITT 1982 Pontiac Firebird Trans AM versus a stealth helicopter. Open it up for debate. I can tell you that the KITT top speed 124 miles an hour, 0 to 60 in 7.2 seconds. Meanwhile, the Airwolf had a top speed of 149 miles per hour, and a height of, as high it can go, is 12,800 feet.
All right. Well, Scott, as our guest, I'll let you have the first take at what your preference would be in those two.
I mean, right off the top, they're both cool because they both have a place to hide at. It always rolls up in the back of the 18-wheeler. Airwolf drops down into a hollowed-out mountain in the middle of the desert somewhere, so they kind of have that pretty even going into it. For me, I'm still going to go with KITT because right off the top, the fact that basically this car can drive by itself, has all kinds of cool gadgets. Airwolf's fast and whatnot, but it's basically just a helicopter. And besides, Michael Knight's assistant's pretty cute. That's in the truck when I get back from a mission. So I'm going with KITT on this one.
Well, I mean, maybe because we're brothers, I don't know. I'm feeling a lot of similar feelings there as far as the coolness factor of KITT, and for me, I'm not gonna belabor it. I'm going with KITT.
Yeah, it has to be a clean sweep for KITT. I mean, how often are you going to take a helicopter out for a spin? I want to pull up and get the kids from school in KITT. So I think it's a clean sweep.
All right. Well, that was pretty quick and pretty easy. Not too much controversy there.
First seed took care of the 8th seed.
Well, do we want to jump down to the 2 and 7 seed? See how they?
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense.
So our number 2, the General Lee, the '69 Dodge Charger from the Dukes of Hazzard, will be going up against that Ferrari Testarossa from Miami Vice.
I'll kick this one off.
All right.
And I'll say that I can't own an orange car.
Oh.
I understand the General Lee is cool and all, but I don't want an orange car. Now, the Ferrari Testarossa is white, so it's not much better, but I'm still going with the Ferrari over the Dodge.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll go in reverse order. I'll give mine, and we'll let Scott be the decider on this one because I have to disagree with you on this one, Greg. I have to go General Lee. That's just the show alone as a kid, the sentimental attachment to watching the Dukes of Hazzard. And for what it's worth, the '69 Dodge Charger is one of the cars on my top 10 cars I would love to own if I had the means. So I'm gonna have to go with the General Lee. And so let's see. It's up to Scott now. We've got a split decision here. Let's see where Scott lands.
Well, I think in the famed way of Vin Diesel and all the Fast and Furious movies, he's all about American muscle. I got to go the same way with this one. And besides, the amount of times that thing jumped through a barn or jumped over a river or anything of that nature, jumping a car just seems pretty cool to me. So I'm all about the Charger in this matchup.
All right. Well, the number 2 seed wins out, but it was a little bit of a battle against the Testarossa.
So you're saying the Testarossa can't jump through a barn, Scott? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think either one of them's going to survive.
Too funny.
All right, so we're going to move on. The General Lee survives the first round challenger, the Testarossa. We're going to keep it here in the Western Conference. We'll finish out the first round, and then we'll move over. So our number 4 seed is the 1983 GMC Vandura, the A-Team van, which iconic, doesn't get much more iconic than that, versus the Kawasaki KZP motorcycle, made famous, of course, by Chips. So, Tim, I think you'll be the first to weigh in on this battle.
Well, I feel like I'm really just picking all the higher seeds in these, being that the A-Team van is the higher seed. I love chips. The motorcycles, obviously the thrill of riding a motorcycle is there. But that giant windscreen on the front of all the motorcycles that I could choose from, I'm pretty sure that the police issue Kawasaki is not at the top of my list. So I'm going to have to go with the van.
Wow.
I'm going with the 83 GMC Vandura. That's, to me, coolness factor wins out on this one, so I'm going with the van.
If this van is rocking, don't come a knocking.
That's right. All right, Scott, where are you falling in on this one?
Yeah, this is starting to become a trend with us choosing the same for each brackets here. But I think right out of the gate when we started this, I made my comments pretty clear on the Chips motorcycle. They are a beast as far as the motor in them, and they'll rip. But the 500, 600 pounds of fairings and plastic and whatnot to tear off it before it's worth riding, it's just not worth it to me. So I'm going with the A-Team van as well. And how can you go wrong with Mr. T? I mean, that's always a winner.
That's right.
Well, the winner's been decided, but the Kawasaki's going to have some late magic and push A-Team to their limits, because I would have voted for the Kawasaki. As a little kid, I thought those mirror sunglasses that Ponch wore, I had the toy, I had a motorcycle. I loved that Kawasaki motorcycle, and I'm sad to see it lose in the first round.
Yeah, it's a tough loss for the motorcycle, but we'll get you some mirrored aviators as a consolation.
I like that. Okay.
Well, that brings us to the fourth and final matchup in the West, and that'll be the 84 Ferrari GTS of Magnum PI versus the GMC K2500 Sierra Grande wide side. That's a mouthful right there.
That is.
I just called it the brown and tan truck from the Fall Guy. Well, back to you, Scott. Which of those, the Ferrari or the GMC?
In this case, as much as I'd like to say, yeah, I love the beginning of Magnum PI when he kind of do the burnout on the side of the road with the Ferrari. I got to stay true to my American metal, so I'm going with the Fall Guy truck in this case.
All right, and we're breaking rank here. Where all the other ones, it was the higher ranked vehicle. The Fall Guy truck was the sixth seed going into this against the 3 seed of Magnum PI. So a little bit of a potential upset. Let's go to Greg and see where he lands on this one.
This was probably, and I was looking at this, the hardest decision for me, because that Fall Guy truck is just so cool. Plus, you could play the music while you're driving around and be that much cooler. But the Magnum PI, that Ferrari was like a babe magnet. I mean, that car is fantastic. But at the end of the day, I think nostalgia is going to kick in for me, and I'll be a little more utilitarian, and I'm going to actually go with the Fall Guy truck.
Wow, a little bit of a flip of the leading us down a path and go in the other direction there. Well, it's already decided, and I'm going to have to just join the group. I'm going to sit in the back of the truck while you guys drive, because it's
sweep.
The Fall Guy, I've mentioned numerous times on this podcast that I had the lunchbox, one of 6 people in the world that had the Fall Guy lunchbox. The truck has to advance to the next round. So the only upset, the number 6 seed taking the win.
We're going to get a lot of hate mail on that one.
So the West, the 4 advancing vehicles ended up being KITT, the van from the A-Team, the Fall Guys truck, and the General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard.
Very cool. But now I think we should shift to the first round in our Eastern Conference with our movies. I think that we'll go with the first seed, which is going to be the DeLorean DMC-12 from Back to the Future versus the 1980 Lamborghini word I can't say from Countach. Now, Tim, I have pictures here. I want you to look at these pictures. I'm going to try to sway the judges here. And let's, I don't know, do you vote first? And then we'll go to your brother.
All right. Well, I mean, I've always been a fan of the Countach. I've always liked that particular model of Lamborghini. I've seen a few collectors go so far as to hang one from their ceiling or wall in their massive mansions. Stylistically, there's actually some cues, that the DeLorean and the Countach sort of share, but the gull wing doors, as opposed to the sort of the Scott, you probably know the term for the way that the doors opened on the Countach. Was there a particular name for those doors, like a forward tilt?
People. I mean, what's ironic now is it's almost like a tissue that was a Kleenex. People just call it Kleenex now. Now you do a custom car, you put Lambo doors on it.
Okay,
like their doors have just become synonymous with I'm putting Lambo doors on my Mustang.
Right,
which
right.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, there's a bit of a personal attachment to the gull-wing door of the DeLorean because Scott and I, our dad had a Bradley GT when we were kids that had, in fact, gull-wing doors on it. So even without the ability to travel through time, I'll take the DeLorean in this matchup.
All right, I'm gonna make it a game. I'm gonna make it a game, and I'm gonna say I think I would absolutely love to have that Lamborghini in my driveway.
Yeah.
It is just the epitome of '80s, fast cars.
Yeah.
Like I love it. It's the black. It's gorgeous. I'm gonna go for the upset here. Leave it into Scott's hands.
And real quick before Scott jumps in, if we were to race, you with the Lambo, me with the DeLorean, you would be at the destination and I would just be getting off the line because the DeLorean was not known for its acceleration like the Lambo. So anyway, Scott.
Yeah. Well, no, that was a good transition to where I was going with this. As much as I have a fondness for the Back to the Future movie and Doc Emmett Brown's the greatest, in reality, I can't drive a car with a Peugeot motor in it that has less than 200 horsepower. So based on that, I think you're going to get your upset with the number 8 and the Lamborghini in this matchup.
Wow.
Nice. Cannonball Run in for the surprise win with the Lambo. Nice.
We're definitely getting hate mail on this one, people.
All right. Well, we're going to jump down to the 2 and 7 seeds. Our number 2 seed being the Batmobile from the Michael Keaton era of Batman.
Yes.
That's going to go up against the 1958 Plymouth Fury from Christine.
Now, before we get into the details, I did look up what the Batmobile car was made from. Okay. Because we're saying this is reality. It's It's not really the Batmobile. It's a 1967 Chevy Impala.
Okay.
It was a 327 cubic inch V8. It had 195 horsepower. Top speed of 125 miles an hour, and 0 to 60 in 7.2 seconds.
Okay. Now, is that the Batmobile from the original series, or is that the one that they used to make the movie?
That's the one for the 1989 Batman movie.
Huh, crazy.
Directed by Tim Burton. With the long hood.
Right.
Yep.
I'm a fan of an Impala, so I'm gonna flip it up. I'm gonna go against the Batmobile just to keep it interesting. I'm going to go with the Fury and let you guys battle it out for the winner. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, I'm just going Batman because the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton, I still have a crush on that version of Kim Basinger. So from that alone, I'm going with the Batmobile. That's always been one of my favorite Batmobiles ever. So.
All right, sounds good.
Wow.
It's on you, Greg.
This is a really hard decision. The Batmobile is awesome to look at, and it probably drives pretty good with that type of car. But there's something about that Plymouth Fury that is just too cool. So I think we're going to have a second upset here in the Eastern Conference. I'm going with the Fury. I mean, the Batmobile is one person. It's a one passenger vehicle. So I think that kind of lends the go with the Fury.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't the direction I thought it was going to go.
Correct you there, Greg. There is a scene in the movie where he has Kim Basinger in the car with him, and he takes her back to the Batcave. So you can get your girlfriend in that car. Just got
to get creative.
Got to be able to pick up the ladies in.
That's funny though. I was really thinking the Batmobile would win. So it's funny that the number 2 seed gets knocked out. So
wow.
We've got 2 upsets already in this Eastern Conference. So we'll see where we go from here.
All right. I think this next one, the rankings might be a little skewed based on the comments I got. But our next matchup is the 4th seed, which is the Ferrari 250 GT California from Ferris Bueller's Day Off versus the Ecto 1, the 1959 Cadillac Miller Meteor hearse. So it's a hearse made famous in Ghostbusters. Yeah. So let's go to Scott first. What do you pick in this one?
Well, this is a tough one because if you're going on the coolness / performance, things of that nature, it's the Ferrari all day. But what we talked about already, the car doesn't even make it through the movie. So how's it going to make it through the bracket? The Ecto 1, it's had better days, but it's back again in Frozen Empire that just came out recently. So from a longevity standpoint, and again, I've always had Ghostbusters is in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. I'm the original one. I'm going with the Caddy on this one.
Oh, nice. Okay. I mean, it is a cool looking car. It's fun, but something about a convertible. I gotta go with the Ferrari. You know, I think it's one of only 2 convertibles, or it might be our only convertible on the list. And I think it's too fun of a car to not advance. So we're gonna leave it up to you, Tim. Are we going with the Ferrari or the Cadillac?
Ooh. Well, I think I'm looking ahead a little bit. So either one of these are going to have to go up against a 1980 Countach, which is going to be a tough matchup for either one of them. I'm going to go with an unusual sort of add-on to the more recent version of Ecto 1 where they had the fly-out seat in the back. Oh, yeah. And something about sort of having that hook and ladder sort of vibe to it. I'm gonna give the Cadillac an opportunity to battle the Lambo and leave the Ferrari on the table. So
we're definitely getting hate mail at this point. So Ferris Bueller gets the day off.
Yeah, he does. He gets to sleep in for real. All right, so our last matchup here in the Sweet 16 is that 1979 Porsche 928 from Risky Business up against the Ford LTD Country Squire, a.k.a. the family truckster from National Lampoon's Vacation. Greg, I think it's your turn to make the first selection.
All right, so I'm kind of glad you gave it to me because I'll let you guys make the real decision. This is a tough one for me. I actually am not a huge fan of Porsches. I think they're kind of ugly, they're weird rounded, and especially this one has a weird back to it. It's almost like I don't know how to describe it, like, a half a circle at the end. It like doesn't continue on. It just sort of abruptly ends. The color is off. It's an ugly car, in my opinion. However, why the heck would I want a family truckster? This is the toughest decision for me. I think I'm going to go with the Porsche just because it's cool.
Right. Okay. All right, Scott, your thoughts?
Well, I could say I'm going with the Porsche because, again, there was a cute blonde actress in that movie from back in the day. But my other simpler answer is, and this is something I stick by pretty much in life as a whole, I don't drive anything with 4 doors. So just by that, Country Squire's out for me. I'm going with the Porsche.
All right. Well, again, in this one, the decision has been made. I actually do really like the styling of most Porsche offerings. The 928 not being one of my favorites, though. And since you guys have already pushed it along into the next round, I will just go ahead and join the club here again as well and vote for the Porsche. The wagon is... There's some wagons out there that maybe would get my vote, but and honestly, the Ecto 1 is sort of in that same world, so we can't have two wagons moving forward. So we'll go with the Porsche.
Wow, that was almost like the battle of who could care less. All right, so we're gonna move back to the Western Conference, the TV conference, and we'll see who our next matchups are.
All right. So from that first matchup of 1 versus 8 and 4 versus 5, that ends up with KITT going up against the van from the A team. This is going to get tougher now as we move along here, but I'm going to put my vote in for KITT. Okay. Still having the car that can drive to you. I think we're actually getting closer to a reality where that could actually happen. Not that I'm ready to buy a car that has all that tech in it, but I'm going to vote for KITT in this one.
I'll go next because then we can go to Scott for the tiebreaker. I'd actually go with the A team on this one.
All right.
I think the van, the black with the red stripe, it's just cooler looking than a simple car with maybe a little red flashing thing in the front. So I think the van is cooler, and so that'll be my vote.
All right, Scott, it's up to you now. You get to make that tie break.
I'm going to go with our 1 seed, go with KITT. I know T-tops leaked and everything back in the 80s, but having T-tops on the car and that ejector seat to get me to the 3rd floor of a building, that's still pretty cool to me.
All right, so we have our first advance to the final four.
Final four. All right. So up next, we do have the GMC K2500 Sierra Grand wide side from the Fall Guy, who upset the Ferrari from Magnum PI as a 6 seed against the number 2 seed, the General Lee. And we'll have Scott go first. So it's the General Lee versus the truck from Fall Guy.
I'm sticking with the General Lee on this one. You know, as Tim said earlier, 69 Chargers, that's just a badass car. I can't go away from that in this round.
I'm sorry. I can't own an orange car. I can't do it. I can't have an orange car. It clashes with my skin. So I got to go with the amazing truck from Fall Guy. So, Tim, big decision ahead.
Yeah. I think I said my piece about the General Lee, that was one of those cars that was, as a kid, that just was the coolest thing ever. But, man, against the Fall Guy truck, that is tough. But I'm going to have to go with, if I wanted one in my driveway, the 69 Charger still is like the car, so I'm going to push the General Lee forward.
So we have the number 1 seed versus the number 2 seed in our Western Conference. We'll come back to that, though, right? We'll jump over. Or was that our Eastern Conference? I forget.
That was our Western Conference.
Oh, okay.
We jumped down to the Eastern Conference.
All right. So our Eastern Conference quarterfinals, or whatever you may call it, semifinals, maybe. We have the biggest upset of our 1980 Lamborghini Countach, which upset the DeLorean, versus the 1959 Cadillac Miller Meteor Hearse, which upset another big car here, the Ferrari from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So it's the Lamborghini Countach against a Cadillac Hearse. Tim?
Well, in this one, where I was really torn between the General Lee and the truck from the Fall Guy, I think this one, the Lambo, it's just too easy to pick over Ecto 1, so I'm gonna move that forward. Scott, where are you coming in on this one?
Yeah, as much as I said in the early round, Ghostbusters being one of my favorite movies, I know I went up against my not driving 4-door cars, but it's Ecto 1. I don't count it as a 4-door in the traditional sense. All that being said, I got to go with the Lambo. That's just going to be more fun to drive.
And it's a clean sweep because I will also choose the amazing Lambo from Cannonball Run. Wow. The number 8 seed coming in hot.
Yep.
Just knocking people off left and right.
If you were on Bet Parks or one of the other betting sites and that was your pick, you're doing well right now.
Everyone's throwing their brackets out the window.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak the future here, but between the two coming up, between the Porsche and the Fury against the Lambo, I don't know. I think that Eastern Championship is looking pretty strong for the Lambo.
Yeah.
That being said, the next matchup was that 79 Porsche from Risky Business up against the Plymouth Fury Christine from 1958. So I think we'll go to Scott for this one.
Yeah, as you just said, I don't think either one of these stands a chance against the Lambo. Now we're getting into the point of, for me, which of these cars is uglier. The 79 928 is not the prettiest Porsche. Fury, that's a big ugly car too. All right, I'm going to stick with the Porsche. I don't really have a good reason at this point because I was hoping the Batmobile was going to move on in this round. So.
Yeah.
I have to say that in my opinion, the Fury is everything that the Porsche is not. I think it's a beautiful car, shiny, it's cool, you're going to cruise down the street in. It's probably got white wall tires. I'm going to pick the Fury. I'm not a big fan of that Porsche.
All right. This is kind of a tough one, but again, as I've mentioned, I don't think either one has much of a chance against the Lambo. But I'm going to go just because I've always wanted a Porsche, even if it's not the best one, probably the only one I could afford. I will go with the 928 Porsche.
Wow, knocks off the number 7 seed, Fury. So,
all right. Well, we're at our final four. Going to get down to our East and West champions before we crown that champion of all of them.
Our Western Conference finals has KITT from Knight Rider going up against the General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard. This is probably, you could have predicted this, right? This is pretty obvious going to be, we knew they were going to come out as the top two out of this Western Conference. Tim, you want to vote first?
Well, I think on this one, I'm going to vote strictly on the little kid. And the little kid is still holding strong to the General Lee.
General Lee.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
No, that's all.
I'm just going to stick with my no voting for orange cars. I'm going to vote for the KITT this time. I didn't last time, but I'm voting for KITT, and I'm going to pass it over to Scott to make the decision here.
All right, so now we're in the 1 versus 2 here in the West. I'm still sticking with the General Lee, and in this case, it's got way more horsepower than an 82 Trans Am, as cool as that KITT car is. So I'm going with the General Lee here in the West.
Wow. No surprise there. The number 2 seed comes out on top. Pretty good.
Yeah, pretty solid.
I just want to point out, though, we are all over the age of 40. And if you remember, the General Lee's doors are soldered shut. So we're going to have to be sliding in, which might not be so pretty. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. Well, I'll do some hamstring stretches and make sure that the legs are loose before I go sliding across the hood or into the
you go right off.
Those welded doors. Yeah. I'm definitely going to pull something, no doubt about it, but I'm willing to take that risk.
All right. Now we get to our finals over in the Eastern Conference. We've got nothing but upsets going on over here in that Eastern Conference, which is movie vehicles. We've got the number 8 seed Lamborghini Countach has just blasted its way through its competition to come into our Eastern Conference finals versus the 1979 Porsche 928 from Risky Business. This is kind of like a slam dunk here. At this point, Lambo has shown it's full of grit and determination, but let's go over Tim. Which of these two vehicles are your better choice?
Well, I think I should just count down from 3 and we all say Lambo at the same time, right? Well, I will make it official that I'm voting for the Lambo.
Yeah, obviously the car is just the coolest thing on the planet. I'm definitely going with that Lamborghini. Scott?
Yeah, I can't argue with you guys on this one. A black Lambo versus pewter colored Porsche is just doing it for me. So yeah, I'm going with the Lambo as well.
Yeah. Also, that Porsche was full of pond water as well, so it's probably a little soggy and doesn't smell so good anymore. All right, well, that brings us to our final matchup for the championship. We're bringing age-wise, we've got that 69 Charger up against a 1980, 11-year newer Lamborghini Countach. I don't know. This is going to be challenging. I'm not going first, but I'm also not going last. So I will go second, and one of you two can be the decider.
Just to
Greg, we can get you a case of Rattle Can black spray paint if you want to spray the General Lee just to even out your decision making.
That's right.
I'll go first.
All right.
And we'll let
Scott.
Yeah. I'll just go. Obviously, I said it every round. I can't own an orange car. I'm going with the black Lambo. It's just too cool.
All right. And to make this as fun as possible for our guest, I will go with the other car, the 1969 orange, generally, and leave it up to Scott to be the decidinator, the one to make the call for the championship. Scott, what's your vote?
And that's tough throwing that back on me like that. But,
never want to be a guest again.
In this car. You guys are saying you might pull a hammy getting in it, but I can still climb in the General Lee through the window. So I'm going with the General Lee. You know, I think the hardest part of this whole thing is that we're going old school muscle versus old school European car, and that's always a debate. You know, I think some people, if they like European, they're always going to go Lambo. And if you like American muscle, you're always going to go General Lee. Yeah. And that's, I think, where this came down to. So it was a good matchup that way.
Well said. Well said.
Very good. Yeah.
Well, Scott, we want to thank you for being our car expert as we traveled back through time, not no DeLorean, but just with our own memories to relive some of these cool cars from both TVs and movie. And I think it was a lot of fun. I hope you had a good time too.
No, I appreciate it, guys. You know, anytime you want to hit me up on this topic in particular, I'm always good to talk about cars.
Sounds good. All right, thanks a lot, Scott.
Thanks.
All right, take care.
You know, Tim, this was a lot of fun. Thanks to our special guest, Scott, for helping us make those tough decisions.
That's right. And, you know, something like this, obviously we're just giving our opinions and stuff like that. And I'm sure you all have opinions on some of the choices we made and what we picked. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your favorites. Feel free to email us at dads@latchkeydads.com or shoot us a comment on social media, or, just smoke signals. Those work too.
Yeah.
I think, and as always, we appreciate all you guys listening, and please follow and review us.
Like and subscribe.
That's right. On Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're there.
Cool. Can't get enough Latch Key Dad content? Well, check out latchkeydads.com.
That's right, Greg. On our website, we've got a plethora of photos from each episode, as well as other interesting links to content that we talk about on the show.
Yeah, Tim, I really enjoy all the pictures that you put up there, as they really bring the episode home.
Yeah, I guess I'm not afraid to show those embarrassing photos of my childhood. So, we encourage you to check out the website, latchkeydads.com, for all that content.
Excellent. And if you have a moment, check out our shop page, where we've got really cool keychains for sale. If you don't know what to get your dad for Christmas, the holidays, Father's Day, birthday, check it out. It's a cool gift. Tim, did you know that listeners should like, review, and subscribe to the Latch Key Dads podcast?
No. But now I know. Knowing is half the battle.